Hey guys, today we're going to be unboxing and setting up the Sky HG-995 remote controlled HDTV antenna. So first let's take a tour around the box. On the front you'll see the model number, the picture of it, and some features. So now let's look at the bottom of the box. There's nothing there. And then on the back of the box it says the logo, and it says the product number and some specifications, technical data, and another picture of the antenna. On the left side of the box, we have nothing. And then on the other side, we also have nothing. So let's go back to the front of the box and see the features that are provided. The first one is best suited to metropolitan and fringe areas to receive UHF channels, capable of receiving high-def digital signals, built-in high-gain booster, and super low noise amplifier. And there's also allows 360 rotation and has heavy-duty construction and fully waterproof. It's HD ready, 1080p maximum, and it's for HDTVs. On the back it has technical data. VHF 40 to 230 megahertz, UHF 450 to 890 megahertz, VHF gain 1 to 12 decibels, UHF gain 21 to 69 decibels, and independence is 79 ohms. The max rotation angle is 360 degrees. Rotating speed is 2 to 4 rotations per minute. Max output level is 145. Power is 3 watts. Working voltage AC 110 volts plus minus 10% at 50 hertz. So let's open up the box now and take off the wrapping. So let's open up the tabs and see what we get inside. So first we have the antenna right there with a box on it, and that has all the accessories to it. So let's take it out. Yes, finally we got it out. And one of the antenna pieces came out too. Okay, so let's go into detail on the antenna and what you get with inside the accessories box. It's not really accessories, it's stuff you really need. So let's take off the plastic on the antenna and open the box. And first you have to open the box and then you could take out the antenna. So first up, we have the amplifier slash controller. So this is where you put the pole into so you can mount the antenna. And next is the motor, which you mount that thing before. I'll show you how to do that later. And that's the remote control to control the motor. And you also get a bag of screws. Now in addition, mine came with the nut and bolt loose, but I think that's supposed to be together. I'll show you how to put it on if yours does come like that. And that's all we get inside the accessories box. So let's put the poles in their correct spots on the antenna, which is to the side of the antenna, so that way it can receive all the signals from the stations. Now we're going to unpack the TV amplifier and antenna controller. And both of those are wrapped into this little tiny box. So let's take off the plastic and look at the box in detail. So first, let's unwrap the cables. So now let's take a tour around the TV tuner slash antenna controller. And this is the rotation button. And if you press it once, it goes in a direction. And if you press it again, it goes in the other. And this next switch is the power switch to turn the box on and off. And that orangey pink thing you see, or red, is the IR blaster. On the back, you have a port to plug in the antenna, and you have another port to plug in one TV, and then you have a cable to plug into another TV. So you can have one antenna going to two TVs. And this coaxial cable that goes into a TV is not detachable. Neither is the power cable. On the bottom, there is just one little vent and screw holes. So you can take the thing apart, which I do not recommend. So next, let's move on to the remote. Now the remote is small, but it has two buttons and an indication LED. So let's take it out of the plastic and have a closer look. So like I said, it has two buttons and an instruction light. But with the buttons, it doesn't go in one direction and the other button makes it go in the other direction. If you press the button once, it goes in a direction, and if you press the button again, then it goes in the other direction. So these are not directional buttons. And on the top is the IR blaster. Now this remote takes two AAA batteries, which are not included. So you have to get them yourself. Now let's put the cover back on and move on. So this is the motor. This you connect to the antenna, and so it makes it spin. And it has two prongs on the top, which you can push in, but I would not recommend doing so. And those are plus and minus. And on the bottom, you would connect that to the antenna, to the pole where you would mount the antenna. And there is no pole provided. And you can put the pole in there. So as I mentioned before, mine came with a nut and bolt, not connected, but you would simply just put it in here and you would put the bolt in, and so you have more protection on the pole and so it doesn't come out. And they also have provided a bag of screws, which are needed, and you will use every single one of these. I will go into detail on where you would put them in. So let's look at the rest of the box. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of these loops that you would put onto the antenna to receive the signal. And also in the box, you get the instructions and a very, very, very long coax cable, which you can plug into the antenna. And last up in the box is the pole where you would mount all those loops onto. And then you would put that pole inside the antenna body. And, oh, I guess there is one more thing. The other thing is warranty card, where you would record all the product name and information. So let's get rid of the box and get into the setup. What you're going to need is a number 2 screwdriver, a number 1 screwdriver, and this is not needed, but it is helpful, is a magnetic tray, so you can keep all your screws nice and organized. You're also going to need the 5 loops for the antenna. And you're also going to need the pole to mount all those loops onto. And you're going to need the motor and the pole mount. But last but not least, the main body, the antenna itself. So first up, let's take all the screws out of the bag and put them into the magnetic tray. Again, you can just use a bowl or something to keep them all nice and together, but I personally like this because if you accidentally knock it over, the screws don't go flying everywhere. And make sure you get all the screws out of the bag. So first you want to take the motor and the pole mount, and you want to flip over the motor and put the pole mount on top. Make sure the screw holes line up. And then you want to take your screwdriver and insert one screw that looks like that. It's the flat screws, the flat silver screws. Those are the ones you want to use for this. Insert one screw. Another screw. And another. And the last one for a total of 4 screws. Next, we're going to put together the pole with all the loops. And these poles, there is a certain way to put them on. One side has a smaller hole than the other. So flip them until they go on. It does not matter which side you put them on. Just make sure they all line up. But if you flip them, they should go on. And so you want to line up the loops, the screw hole with the hole on the pole. And then you want to take your number 1 screwdriver and take the black screws that are provided and screw in every single loop. And make sure they're tight but not too tight because the plastic can break. Next, you want to take the motor and line up the 2 prongs with the holes on the antenna. There's only one way that it can go in, so you can't mess this up. And don't force the motor onto the antenna because you probably inserted the prongs wrong. So just make sure the prongs line up with the holes. And now you want to insert the screws and then screw them in. There are 4 screws that need to be installed on the antenna to attach the motor to the antenna, and you want to use a number 2 screwdriver to accomplish this. Next, you want to insert the pole with all the loops into the antenna and make sure the holes line up. And then you can take your number 2 screwdriver and screw in the last screw, and then you have finished. Now you can open the flaps on the bottom and top, and you can make sure they're still by adjusting the moving things, and make sure they're to the side so that then the flap won't go down. Like so. And then you have finished. And now we're going to plug in the coax cable into the antenna. And you can use different type of coax cable if you already have it installed in your house. You do not have to use the provided coax cable. You can use your own. I have tested this and it does work with different cable. But if you are going to use the cable provided, there is a black shield so it covers up the connection and nothing gets wet. So install the cable into the jack on the antenna, and then you can put the black cover on top. Now I have found out that you can use pliers to make the black tubing a little bit bigger, and then it will go on nice and snug. So the other end of the coax cable goes into the antenna jack on the TV amplifier / antenna controller, and you put it in nice and snug, and make sure all your connections are screwed on all the way, nice and tight. Not too tight, but really tight. And next, you're going to want to plug in the power cable into a wall jack, and then take the TV cable and plug it into the TV. And then you are done with setup, and you have completely accomplished HDTV over-the-air channels. So this is how the antenna looks when it's fully set up and everything is plugged in. Well, not really. This is how the antenna looks when you have fully put it together. Now, thank you for watching, and enjoy watching free over-the-air HDTV on your TV.